It's the third morning after a good night's sleep, and I've only just started walking. It's only a little after 8. Already found a new friend. What's your name? Ah, that's not only a very bold sign, but a very helpful sign. Somebody's written on the top, Camino will change your mindset. Indeed, that's the hope. Why on earth would you go on a 300 or 800 kilometre walk if it wasn't to change your mindset? What if, as a result of all that walking, nothing changed and your mindset was the same? Goodness me. Well, it's taken a different mindset to create these characters for us on this Saturday morning, day 3. Who's this? A bit of a mixed media pilgrim. Good morning. And there's a proper... I'm not a fan of concrete crosses, but there's a place to sit with a picnic table. I can't help noticing the ubiquitous cross is there as well. This is where we've come from this morning, down in the valley, as Bruce Springsteen sings. But we're not stopping, are we? No, we're not. I've only been walking an hour and it's not breakfast time, so I'll just say Bon Camino. This morning's little hill. It's always exciting when you get to the crest of a hill. Of course, you can't help wondering what's on the other side. And in this case, it's more of the same reddish coloured path. But I don't know if you can see it yet. In the distance, we've got more snow-capped mountains in our gaze. How wonderful. In my walking meditation this morning, I have to show you this arrow of stones that somebody has laid out, and I guess you could add, shall we add one to it? Of course we will. I'm going to pick this stone and add it to the mix just here. There we are. And there's somebody's put some wooden chairs, benches there to sit. Oh, and you can look at the mountains. Well, let's do that. Don't look a gift horse in the face, Shanks. Camino de Santiago. Yes. I'm a little out of breath just up that short hill. Never mind. I am pleased to say that with loving care and attention to 2 hot spots, in my right foot at the heel, at the back, at the top, the boot line, and at the left, the toes, with TLC and some wadding and plasters, they are extremely comfortable. It's only the last hour of the day where I really feel the physical challenge. Anyway, back to, as you know, I like to use the verse from, I think it's Psalm 42, Isaiah 42. Oops. Be still and know that I am God. And I've been using it for some years now. And not every time, but most mornings, as I repeat it, it morphs into something else and can take on profound new meanings. And this morning's was one of those, which gives me something to chew on as I go down the other side of this hill. which is, imagine, you American viewers will have to just go along with this, but British viewers will know what a Yorkshire farmer might sound like. And so, be still and know that I am God morphed this morning into I, be still and know that I am. And this seems to be a revolution in understanding who we are, who that I am is. And it is redolent, reflective of, not quite the right, it reminds me of, that's all I want to say, the famous book by Nisargadatta, if I pronounce it at all correctly, a great Indian sage of the last century. His bestseller was called I Am That, and it's very important where you put the capitals. In fact, on his book title, they're all in capitals, but I would capitalise I, A and T. I am that. I, be still and know that I am, or I am that. Well, of course, what on earth are we talking about? What is that? Well, that's what we're here on the Camino to find out between us, isn't it? I shall leave you in suspense. Special El Jardín del Alma, which roughly is the Garden of Spirit cafe. It's all available, free. It's auto service. Look at this fabulous fruit, eggs even. Look at this spread, fantastic. Place to sit, guitar. There's even a garden to walk. What's not to like? I think I found my breakfast place. I have freshly squeezed orange juice from local oranges, squeezed by my own fair hands. I didn't lay the egg, but the egg is from the chicken round the back. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet for a donation. And I absolutely love this demonstration of how an alternative society can actually work. Is the road of doubt, willing to come with yourself. I knew where you put your mind is a road of doubt. Really, we sign, I want to love it, only one God. And we are ailing from sin to your life. The melody hide the way, keep your eyes on, it's right on. Keep it not hurt, it's a one of the fire. Shape my goal, burn the seed, pristine to the ground. Oh, ready we are spreading and spread the love for the people. Oh, good over evil, we are believers. Yeah. Shalom, 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 shalom. Hallelujah, alhamdulillah. Buenos dias, hello. You only need to know the way if you think you're not in the way, so to speak. I think this place has restored my faith in human nature. After an all-you-can-eat buffet for a donation, I've just done a little ritual and and walked the spiral. Putting heart back in the centre of living instead of not grumpiness, critical spirit, perhaps. I could own up to that. I think being discouraged by situations in the world and perhaps with people, perhaps with myself, but I've just done a little walking the spiral. You walk very slowly from the outside to the inside, to the core, so to speak, to your innermost being, and say a little prayer. And I left one of my bracelet thingies as a sort of token of sloughing off the old. You're never too old to slough off, you know. And so I've come out refreshed, honestly, with this spring in my step. And this place, as I say, restores my faith that living by the Spirit, as this cafe is called, El Jardín del Alma, the Garden of Spirit, all things are possible. Indeed. Indeed, welcome home. There are times on the Camino, of course there are, which feel tough. For me, so far, it's the last hour of the day when I just want to get to the hostel and have a drink. But there are other times like this, and you've just got to be thankful that you are here now, on it, walking. And look, there's a sign, and there's a cross, and there are white capped mountains behind. And what does the sign say? You are here. Santiago, 269.5 kilometers. Well, my heart sings, to be honest, because that sounds a lot less, my friends, than 300. It all seems possible now. And something that has restored my faith in human nature, I kid you not, is this little breakfast buffet encounter. An all-you-can-eat cafe based purely on donations and goodwill. The Cafe of the Spirit, as it says. That's my sort of cafe and my sort of buffet, my sort of people. And that's one reason why, for me, the Camino is such a positive thing to do, and I'm sure you can echo that. Partly it's having a destination in mind, sure. The famous English Lake District fell walker Wainwright, who wrote many books illustrated with paths in his own with his own drawings, and he says a walk without a destination is merely aimless wandering. Well, I disagree with that, actually. I think he who wanders aimlessly is not necessarily lost. And it's what you see on your journey, whether it has a destination or whether you're just lost, as frankly many of us are in these troubling times. Going for a wander and being exposed to natural beauty and snow-capped mountains, and lovely people who have devoted their days to the pilgrims, providing a buffet, a free buffet. If you don't want to put your hand in your pocket, you can eat as much as you want for free. But it's that spirit that is so encouraging. It's a spirit of giving, a spirit of service, a spirit of equanimity, a spirit of brotherhood, sisterhood, a spirit of there is no division between you and I, there is no separation. There was a man with, I have to say, white Bluetooth earbuds in, but he was very diligently, like a Zen monk, raking the garden before I left. And I did, they have a spiral, and I'm very familiar with walking a spiral, both on Lanzarote, but also occasionally in other places. If you see a spiral, walk it. It's a journey to the inner, letting go of something. I let go of one of my bracelets as a sign of renewal, actually letting go of my critical spirit. And I don't mean critical spirit of others, although there is that. I am my own worst critic, by the way. And a friend of mine has encouraged me to leave it in the bike rack. So I have. Oh dear. You see, just walk. Just walk. The space opens up. We live, most of us, we live our lives in the sort of the walled garden, the tiny walled backyard garden of our lives. And when we get out and explore, we bump into lovely people like these folks running the cafe here just for the love of it, really, as an alternative way of living. And it anoints the soul, expands your boundaries of possibilities, and lifts your spirit. Oh my goodness me, that's a view. That's quite a big town. I think it's called Ortega. I'll have to look it up. Oh, that's not the right frame, is it? That's better. Well, I'm going to sit down at one of those picnic benches, and I am going to have a view. I might even write something down in a moment. There's a verse in the Bible somewhere that says something like, "Thou hast laid a table for me in front or in sight of my enemies." And I've always taken that as a promise. When I was writing my first book, Future Perfect, Creating the Life You Want, in brackets, how do you think I got where I am now, close brackets, I used to take Thursday off from work and run up Porter Clough, all sweaty, until I got to the top, and I'd punch the air and shout hallelujah or something like that. And there was a bench at the top of the clough, a wooden picnic bench, and it reminds me of those days when I was writing my first book. This is, goodness me, I might have to edit this out. I think this is 29 years ago, and here I am nearly 30 years later living the life I dreamt of in that first book. So ahead of us is the large town of Ortega. It's got a double towered cathedral I can see from here. Let's see if I can zoom in. Thinking you can probably just see that on the left. And I'm going to look it up now, but somebody at the last stop. Oh, my hostess Eva at my hostel last night tells me there's a Gaudi building in Ortiga. Now, if it's out of the way, I'm not going to go to it because I'm on it at the moment. It's only the third day, and I want to make sure I get to my next hostel this afternoon. These are my new best friends. This is Pete, the pale one.
Also known as, what is it? Cinquecento? 500?
Yes. Cinquecento, like the car. This is Colin, and this we've just clocked. What have we done, Pete? Here,
I've just become your 500 subscriber.
Right. Bon camino. We are in Ortoga. No, Atorga. It's an anagram of that anyway. And we've got Amy Winehouse playing from the flower shop. And I'm heading in this direction, not specifically to see this cathedral, which has two towers. By the look of it, one's an add-on, because one's black, the farther one is black stone and the nearer one is reddish stone. And I'll try not to get run over here, but it's also famous, Astorga, for its chocolatiers. It's everybody makes chocolate around here. Oh my goodness me, whilst I'm yakking to you, look what's appeared. This is a palace designed by Gaudi. Well, it says it's the Museo de los Caminos, the museum of the Camino wanderers like me, pilgrims. I guess I should have a look inside. Now, I can't explain why, but I have a complete fascination with these religious items. I want to say reliquaries, but that's not quite right. I think that means remains of saints' bones. But this chiseled silver, I believe it is. And there's something quizzical about it. It reminds me of Lyra's magic timepiece in Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials, and it unlocks all the mysteries of the cosmos, and you can time travel. And in a way we are time traveling, because we are in Gaudi's palace, which is also the Museo de los Caminos, and you just can't ignore the fact that it's a really tough journey, and that these pilgrims have actually expired and turned to stone. It's such a difficult journey to do. And these women, really, they're not going to get very far in shoes like that, are they? Who's this? This is Saint Mark the Evangelist, with a splendid beard, although there's something missing from his right hand. What could that be? Actually, I particularly like this this on the wall. It doesn't look very old to me, but I do like the style. And look at this detail of the roof arches designed by Gaudi. here is a 16th century cross in fine chiseled silver and a gold goblet. Now, I do get the continuity of thousands of pilgrims like me through the centuries, but you'll have to forgive me, even though I am from a Christian, albeit evangelical tradition, I am not enamoured with the gaudiness in this Gaudi museum of the official, let's say, as opposed to the public expositions of the faith and why you would go on a 800-kilometre walk. But you know, I have just left Bangor at the Cafe of the Spirit, which is my critical spirit angle. So I'm going to withdraw. No, I'm not going to withdraw it, but I am going to choose not to speak in that critical voice. See if you notice. Reminds me, of course, of Don Quixote. I'm in the basement of the Museum of the Pilgrims, and there are many inscribed stones which are both Roman in origin, of the procurator who used to rule these parts and no doubt extract tithes or cash, much the same as it is today, of course. And you'll see an inscription, that's a tombstone for a 7-year-old, but there are many of them, and I am not the first, and I shall certainly not be the last modern pilgrim, but many thousands have travelled this way before. And one of the things that going on a long walk like this does is it surely puts things in perspective. Human life, I mean. What is the span of a human life? 70, 70, or we're up to about 84, I think, for Western European males, God willing. But still only a blink, isn't it, in the history of this particular part of the countryside, this part of Europe, this Christian tradition even, which goes back 2,000 years but is not that long in the history of, let's call it, kindly civilization. And I think it is one of the benefits of the Camino that it puts your and my little life into some wider perspective, both humbling but also aggrandizing in a way. By that I don't mean bigging yourself up, I mean living the best possible version of being this spark of divine life in a short time frame. Make the most of it. As my good friend Peter says, live and let live. This Roman mosaic floor is from the 4th century AD, and so therefore could possibly have been walked on by pilgrims, I suggest, even in those early days. If indeed it's true that St. James's or Saint Jacques here locally, St James's Bones, were ended up in Santiago Cathedral, which is why this Camino exists. All these tombstones, of course, make you mindful of one's own mortality. On the path, very pleasant path here, I shared the last hour with a couple of guys. One was an airline pilot, the other, he wasn't a pilot, he was a pilot of souls, so to speak. He was, amongst other things, a padre in the Royal Air Force, and he travelled around really quite a lot. Zambia, I think he said, but other places in his career. And he pointed out that we Brits, he's Scottish, but we Brits have a very odd idea of death. It's almost as if it's, well, it's the end. But in other cultures, in other cultures, they have no such sort of off-a-cliff idea of death and dying. It's just part of the cycle of life, and so it's welcomed and celebrated. And he told me he's witnessed in his role as a chaplain in the armed services, in the Air Force in particular. He has witnessed a drone attack with fatalities, and he's written a book about the ethics of this, and also about the ethics of Churchill's decision to bomb the shit out of German cities. And so just in an hour's conversation, and here in Gaudi's Museum of the Pilgrims, it brings right in your face questions of mortality. And I don't want to die, do you? I mean, this is all right. I don't want to be too hedonistic about it, but I'm in a nice, beautiful, Gaudi-built, designed and built museum, and the next stop is lunch in the sunshine outside in the square. So, of course, I'm being a little playful there. In a way, it seems to me it's part of the deal. And what's wrong with the deal? Tell you what, you can have 80 years, if you're lucky, of enjoying this wonderful life, but then you don't know what happens. But if you, and I'm not going to say a believer, I think I have left the believing bracelet on the spiral at the cafe I've been to this morning. It's not for me. It's no longer necessary to believe that, because that gives the impression you're not really so sure, and sort of you have to dupe yourself. Rather, it seems to me clear and obvious that what is organic life gets churned back into the ground or decays, and so the same will happen with our physical bodies. No surprises there. It's, of course, the surprise is there life before death, not after death? By that I mean, do we understand, truly understand the nature of life? Is it just a biological, physiological process, and we have thoughts contained in the brain? Or is it more than that? Well, I mean, spoiler alert, you know what I think by now. We are not humans having an occasional divine experience, if you're lucky. We are divine we're sparks of the divine, anyway, having a temporary human experience. And the spark will go back to the flame. I've just had a very pleasant light lunch in Astorga and viewed the Gaudi Museum of the Pilgrims, and this is just on the outskirts of Astorga. And as my instincts tell me, I've discovered, I think, two prisons. One prison of regular life, which is this one, and I think if I zoom in you'll just be able to see the metal gate and a watchtower. And then across the road, this is fascinating. Well, I think it's fascinating. There's a prison of the soul. Now, I'm not being detrimental, I'm critical, I'm being observant. And this, as I suspected when I saw the rather plain architecture from a distance, I thought, oh, that must be a convent or a monastery, and it is. It's the monastery of San Francisco. Not San Francisco. That's a different continent. It's the monastery of St. Francis of Assisi, or St. Francis of Assis, as they call it here. And I'm really genuinely not applying any judgment, but my heart sinks at both being incarcerated in a prison of life and frankly incarcerated in a monastic establishment like this. And so I can't help but praise the Lord, or count my blessings, or just be grateful that I've chosen my particular incarceration to be a free man on the road, walking what is now only 270 kilometers to Santiago. It's a sort of incarceration outdoors in the beautiful Spanish countryside, let's just say that. There we are, Residencia San Francisco de Assis. Above the door to the convent or monastery just across the road, St. Francis de Assis, it says above the door, 50 años de amor y servicio, 50 years of love and service. And I applaud that 100%. I also applaud the love and service of those lovely gentle folk at the Cafe of the Spirit, where I had the all-you-can-eat breakfast for a donation, which cost me twice as much as it would if I was in a normal cafe. Be that as it may, it was an offering of cheerfulness, not reluctance. Am I feeling lucky? Roll the dice, Phil. Oh, it's a 6, yes. Result, let's see. We're following the red brick road in the direction of the church and the hostel. That'll do nicely.